Gear up, Scooter fam. Today we're going to talk a little bit about my experience after installing the rear honeycomb tire on the Journey Max. So yeah, it's, pretty much to kind of catch you guys up on what's going on. I've had two flats. I have two Hover-1 Journey Max scooters, and I have flats on both of them. Well, I've had flats on both of them. The first one, I believe, I could have contributed to it, but it's a bit flawed the way the valve stem sits on the rim. So that being the case, I hit a railroad track. I ran over railroad tracks, and soon after the back tire went flat, and when I changed it, the only puncture was a slice through the valve stem where it had been sitting on the rim. So I assume the impact from the railroad tracks caused that. It could have been any bump that would cause that, but in this particular case, it was the railroad tracks. So I walk across the railroad tracks, and I'll get off and walk, so I don't take that chance. On the second one, a different scooter, I did get the tube replaced on that one fairly easily. On the second one, I had some kind of puncture. I found the puncture, but I didn't find what punctured it. So whatever it was didn't stay in the tire. When I got home, I went to change the tube and put a little air in it. And as you guys, I think, can see in one of the videos, it squirted out and right above the where the valve stem is, not where the valve stem is, but opposite on the tube. So just a puncture right there in that area that caused the flat. So I already had one tube since I ordered them in pairs, and it was nice to have an extra one around. But I popped it trying to install it. I bought two more from Amazon, and I popped both of them. So I decided, instead of continuing to pop inner tubes, that I would go with a rear honeycomb tire and not have to worry about it. I knew I would sacrifice comfort. I knew that I would sacrifice traction, that I could lose traction because of that. So in certain situations, it would be more dangerous to ride with that honeycomb tire because of the loss of traction going from an air-filled tire to a honeycomb tire. So I knew I would suffer in those things, but I wanted to see, to what degree I thought it might be worth testing out. So I went ahead and switched to the honeycomb, and I would say I went for a test ride right away. I didn't notice anything different, too noticeable. It wasn't any weird situations where I had to slam on the brakes or anything and needed the extra traction, so that wasn't an issue. And the little bumps that I hit didn't seem to be too much different from what I had experienced with the tube, considering there's no suspension on the scooter. So the ride seemed just as rough. So I really didn't think there was a noticeable difference in that regard. Maybe it's easier to tell on other scooters, or there's a suspension at the same time. You could tell a lot more, but this suspension sucks, and it sucks with or without the honeycomb tires. So at least in the back, and maybe if I had it on the front, it would be a different story, different situation, because your hands are kind of attached to the almost to the ground, so to speak, because it's a solid tube and no suspension in between your hands and the road, just a tube. So just a tire, and so losing that would probably make a noticeable difference, I would suspect. But I suspected also this would be that much more noticeable. It's very minor, if at all. That's the good news. The bad news is, one thing when I did actually go out for a trip. I've been on a couple trips now, and the first trip I went on, I noticed right away that I seemed to, when I got back from the trip or on the way back, I glanced down to look at my battery. Now this isn't time. I probably would have even looked at the battery, because I take these trips a lot. These same trips. It's trips to Walmart. I take it more than any other trip that I go for. So it's just a nice to be able to run down to Walmart's, 3.5 miles away. So around 7 to 8 miles total trip, there and back, something like that. So I can do 2 of those trips without even worrying about that. Not the full trip, but 2 trips. So there and back twice, without even blinking. As far as range. And so I noticed it was lower than what I would have expected. And I thought, oh, that's weird. But I just did have a flat, and I can't remember if I charged it before I had the flat or whatever. So I went ahead and just said, it's interesting. I do remember looking down and thinking, okay, that's a little weird. So I took it out again, and today actually. And I had it fully charged. I charged it up fully yesterday so that I could take it out today. And I took my normal trip that I always take, which is to Walmart. And until I change this tire on both scooters, I'll lose about 1 bar. There's 5 bars. I lose about 1 on a trip to Walmart and back. So every time, consistently, and so, and as I said, I take lots of trips, and it doesn't matter which scooter I take. It's always the same thing. I hardly notice the difference which scooter I'm on because they're identical, and I got them at the same time. So, and I switch them out. So because I don't want to ruin the batteries, or I want to do the best I can to prolong the life of the batteries, I switch them constantly. So I run 1 battery down, and then so I'll take a couple of trips, before I recharge. So I'll take a trip to Walmart, and then I'll take a trip to Walmart again. Sometimes if I need to stop on one way back, it's not a big deal. But I usually have 2 bars left after 2 days of riding to Walmart, let's say. And so that's 1 bar on the first day, and then as you get going, you sort of lose more than you lost each time. So in fact, I might have 2 bars left, but I wouldn't chance another trip to Walmart at that point. That would be probably more than the scooter would be able to do. Even though there's 2 bars left, you lose them much faster as you go down. So the first trip, I lose 1 bar. The second trip, I'll lose 2, and I'll end up with 2 left. So there's 5 total, and then I recharge. So that gets me. That's about my range. If I have to go somewhere else, like it can be a few more miles, not going to be a big deal. But but I will be close if I do that. I will cut down to the last bar. So though that's my range. I've done this now for a few months, and I do it a lot. So I realize what it is, and plus, like I said, I have both scooters. So I know what it should be, and I know what I'm getting. So I'm losing on 1 trip 2 bars with the honeycomb tire. 1 trip to Walmart, about 7 miles, between 7 and 8, probably 7 to 7.5 really closely, but just over 7 miles each way. So 15 miles, let's say, at the most. For 2 trips. And once again, I could probably go another couple miles, not a big deal. But so, and I have done a range test on the Journey Max, and I got about 18-ish miles before I lost a noticeable amount of acceleration. And so it just the Journey Max has pretty quick acceleration, at least my experience. And it's easy to notice when it slows. Didn't stop. My top speed was still fine. I still could climb hills, just not as fast. And so, and it's very noticeable because it's a beast at climbing hills. So that was the one test that I did. So me going to Walmart and back one time on the Journey Max with the honeycomb tires and losing 2 bars is significant, really significant. So I could probably make another trip to Walmart and back, maybe, and I wouldn't have 2 bars left. I would be skeptical if I can make it. Losing two bars is like, losing half your battery. So it's close. Like I said, one more trip would be cutting it very close, in my opinion. And so that's, I don't like that. I don't like not being able to be certain that I can, take the trips I normally take and what the scooter's been capable of. And I'll tell you the truth, I've never seen this anywhere. I've never seen anyone talk about range changing, losing range when switching to honeycomb tires. And it's 100% true. It's 100% a fact. I did see someone that comment on a video, and I asked them if they had any experience with this, and they said they had heard that there could be an issue, but they haven't seen it themselves, personally experienced it. So I will say, that's a significant thing for me. Why would I want to lose so much range just to be able to not have a flattering? Nah, I personally do not. And like I said, I haven't seen this anywhere. I haven't seen a single video. I've seen lots of videos on changing from tube tires to solid tires. I watch lots of videos on that. I always hear pretty good things. Everyone obviously says, you're going to lose, you lose the ability to absorb the shock. So I knew that, and someone says the traction can be a little iffy and sketchy. Luckily, I haven't had any problems with that yet, but they are new, and so that might be worse once the tread is wore down a little bit. And so that, to me, that's interesting because I've never seen anyone complain about the range. And like I said, that's a pretty big factor. I don't want to have to charge an extra time because of battery longevity. And also, I don't want to have to worry if I can make 2 trips. I mean, it's just, I don't like that. So that's a deal breaker for me alone. The other thing that I did notice, which I noticed today, which I kind of noticed the other day, but I didn't think about it because I thought, it's just being a little rough. But when I get up to certain speeds and I use my accelerator, my throttle, I get a vibrating, rattling, feeling sound from the back tire. It's like, it does like that. And the first time I rode it for that test, I ran across, I noticed it only one time, and I kind of looked like, I have a flat, but I know I can't have a flat on that tire, so it's weird. And it only seemed like when I didn't notice it at the time. I thought I went over some like cobblestone or something like that, that just kind of had a rough texture to it, and I wouldn't normally notice that with a tube tire, and I thought that was the difference. But today I paid really close attention to when it happened, and I even tested it on a smooth surface, and it didn't matter what surface I was on. When I accelerated above a certain speed, the back tire started rattling, and I thought that was bad. I think that's not good. So, and I attribute that to the solid honeycomb tire because I've never experienced that before. I also took my other Hover-1 out today just to test it, just to get a feel for if there's anything that, and it's so easy to distinguish because it just never happened before. I get above, it's a very smooth ride as far as I'm concerned. As far as like stability, the Hover-1, I never have any stem wobble. I never have any kind of wobble. I heard someone say they got some speed wobble after going, so fast on a scooter, and I thought, not a fast scooter though. I mean, if you go 50 miles an hour, you're gonna have to have a decently built scooter to handle those speeds without losing stability. But on the Hover-1 only goes 20 miles an hour, and you can do that on a bicycle. So, hopefully it can handle 20 miles an hour. The back tire rattling, it was more annoying than anything. I didn't, it didn't seem like it was, hurting anything or it was going to cause anything to happen. But I didn't like continuing to apply the throttle with it doing that. It was unsettling, and it's just not comforting. It's just discomforting, unsettling, what have you. And so I decided to that I'm gonna change it out. I'm gonna go back to a tube. As difficult as it was, and as many as I've popped, I think the key is to find a way to get the tube and tire back on the wheel without using tire irons at all or tire spoons at all. I did it successfully the first time, being very careful. I tried three times after that, being very careful, and I still popped them. So I've just got to find a way to not use them, period. And that may mean putting 20 zip ties on it, or finding I've seen a couple methods that I can try, but most of them involve tire spoons, and I've got to find a way around that. So once the new tube, is in the tire, I'm going to use tire spoons to get the tire off because I'm throwing away the old tube anyway. But if I'm after I put the new tube in there, I can't use the tire spoons, because even being careful, it's just on these things, it's too easy. It's too easy to do it, obviously. So I will. I've got them ordered. I got the tubes ordered. I'm not gonna ride that scooter. Well, they should be here tomorrow, so hopefully I can get them tomorrow. But I'm not gonna ride it until I get the new tubes in, and then I'm gonna test it out again. I'm gonna go back and make sure that that is the problem. As far as I know, the range is the problem. I have no question. I just there's too much now. Something happened to the wheel when I flattened it. Possibly I rode it back on the rim. I could have ruined the rim. Those things are possibilities. That didn't happen on my other one, but since I didn't get a chance to go back and test this one out with a tube, it could be that could be a problem, and those things could be contributing. I could be completely off base. I haven't, like I said, I haven't seen any videos. I did talk to someone who knows a lot about scooters and has tested lots of things, and he said he had heard of a situation where a person did that and lost some significant range, but he had never experienced it personally. So yeah, I think I'll update you guys on that once I get that. This is just going to be a kind of a quick update on how that went, but I'm going to be getting rid of the honeycomb tire pretty quickly, for those two reasons: range, and then some kind of weird rattling only above certain speeds. So I'm pretty sure it's I'm pretty sure it's the tire. I'm pretty sure I put the tube back in there and get it installed without popping it, and it's gonna be just like it was before. But I'll update you guys and let you know. Thanks for watching. If you like this content, if you found it helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. And happy riding.